I think the purpose of, the bye week this week, at least for us, is, number one, we need to get some guys healthy. We've had some guys been playing a little bit banged up, so this is an opportunity for them to get rest. I think, secondly, it's an opportunity for everybody on the team who is healthy and can practice to make significant improvement. Everybody that I know that is a really, really good player, always makes reference to having a good coach. They welcome the critical eye of people watching them, correcting them, and I think there's some ingredients that are important in that. And the first thing is you got to have humility. So you got to be committed to wanting to be a much better player, and you got to have self-awareness and willingness to know that there are things that you can do to get better. So you welcome the fact that somebody's there to, help you do that and make corrections so that you can learn and grow and get better. So a lot of guys fall into that category, this week. So and then it gives us some opportunity to look at what we've got coming up that is a little different maybe than what we've done. So the week of the game, that stuff won't be quite as new as it might have been. So those are really the goals and objective of what we're doing this week. I really didn't talk to you about the Mississippi State game. I think, that game's kind of in our rearview mirror now, but I think that, it's important that the players, when things don't go well, that they have an expectation and it's going to be difficult and it's going to be a hard grind in a game, and we can't get frustrated when we don't have success. And I think that that's a lesson, that we can all learn, which is a part of how do you play the next play, how do you keep competing one play at a time, more like a 15-round fight than really a football game. So I think some guys, learn some lessons from that as well.
Okay, we'll start with Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach, just want to ask you about Phil Mathis, just to get your thoughts on the way he's played this season, but not only that, but how he's kind of stepped up into more of a leadership role this year.
Well, I think Phil has played really well. I think he's got his weight down. His quickness is better. That's the thing that I think has helped him the most, and I think he's playing, with a lot more initial quickness, moving better, rushing better. The guy's got a really, really good motor, plays hard all the time, and his production has increased, with those improvements, and I'm really pleased with him. I think he sets a good example for the young guys, so we're pleased with that as well.
We'll go with Michael Casagrande.
Yeah, Nick, just wondering how you'd assess the defense in the 3 games since the Ole Miss game.
I've talked a lot about the defense. I think we've gotten a little bit better each week. I think there's a lot of room for us to continue to have improvement. We've got several young guys playing, and those guys, I think are developing more and more confidence in what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, why it's important to do it that way. So the mental errors are kind of going down, and we tackled better in the last game, which I thought, the Ole Miss game was not very good, and I think we've tackled a little better in each game. So I think those things will be critical in, finishing. We played a little better on third down the last couple of weeks, which is also important to getting off the field, not letting people extend drives on you. So there has been improvement. There's a lot of things that we definitely need to continue to get better at. So I think Dylan is a lot more comfortable in his role, now, as being the leader, calling the defenses, being able to, help everybody else do what they're supposed to do, but still do what he's supposed to do. I think, sometimes, that can be a little different for guys, but he's done a really good job of that. So, we're making progress.
We'll go with Christopher Walsh.
Yeah, with everything being so unusual this season, how important has it been, or how much is having so much coaching continuity on your staff this year helped you out this season?
Well, I think it's always critical to have continuity, but I think especially this year, I think you make a good point that, You know, when there are so many uncertainties, when you don't have spring practice, if we'd have had a bunch of new coaches, you know, the players learn the system in the spring, so do new coaches. You know, the coaches learn through the first year of how you do things, whether it's in the summertime, fall camp, game week, whatever, game day. So I think when you have continuity and people understand exactly what the expectation is, I think it helps in a lot of areas. I think it helps in recruiting. I think it helps in relationships with players. I think it helps with knowledge of the system and also implementing the system relative to the players that we have because you know them well.
We'll go with Mike Rodak.
Just how much, if at all, have you seen defenses approach you differently these past couple weeks without having Jalen in the offense?
Well, I can't. Well, you know, Tennessee didn't know he was going to be there, so they really couldn't do much about it. I think Mississippi State played us pretty much like we thought. They have a little different style of how they play, so I couldn't really say that they played us differently because he wasn't there. So I can't really. I don't know how to answer that question. You'd have to ask them that.
Okay, we'll go to James Ogletree.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the young guys on defense, and I wanted to ask about one of them specifically. What's your assessment of Tim Smith's game with him getting more playing time the last couple weeks? And what does a disruptive defensive front allow you to do with the rest of the defense, whether that's the back end or different pressures you might be able to bring?
Well, are you saying we have a disruptive front? I mean, I don't. Is that, or are you saying hypothetically, if you have a disruptive front, how does that affect what you do? Well, first of all, Tim Smith has made a lot of progress. He's a young guy that has a lot of potential, still learning, still growing. You know, I hate it when we jump off sides, so we keep working on that with some of these young guys. But I think if you do have a strong front, a disruptive front that's hard to block, you can play a lot more split safety coverages, which I think helps, a lot with RPOs and in the passing game, and what kind of routes you get in the passing game. So, I do think it's always helpful if you have a really good front seven, and it starts with the guys up front in the defensive line.
Okay, we'll go back to Charlie Potter.
You mentioned just looking ahead at teams that are coming up. Just have you looked at LSU at all yet? And just what are your early thoughts on the Tigers?
We're starting on them, tomorrow, so we're working on them, right now. So I haven't really watched that much to say much about them. I know they always have good players. They're always well coached, and they played well at times this year. So I know, their quarterback's been out, and that's affected them the last couple weeks. But I can't really comment because I haven't really watched that much.